The next speaker has an extensive experience in the field of agri-food technology, with his research expertise focusing mainly on various issues pertaining to sustainable food production and food security, sustainable pathways for agri-food wastes, byproducts valorization in the context of circular bioeconomy. Please welcome Professor at the Estonian University of Life Sciences, Dr. Rajeev Bhat.
So very good afternoon, everyone. Well, not the best of the time to give a talk, especially after the lunch. But still, I tried to manage and keep you tight to your chairs, physically and mentally active for some more time, at least for 20 minutes. So I'm going to, rather than presenting the results, what we generated in our lab, I'm going to present on the various activities that were undertaken under special chair ERH in VALORTECH at the Estonian University of Life Sciences. So this special chair, before I get into the chair activities, of course, these are the key themes of the research where people have been talking about wherever you go in the European Union or you go outside European Union. People have been talking about circular economy, circular bioeconomy, Green Deal, Green Revolution, sustainable food production, everything. So taking these key points as a note and to bring all the objectives of these calls or the objective of these themes, a special chair was created in our university as a ERH in VALORTECH. In the short, we call it ourselves as VALORTECH, but on the broader note, it's Food Byproducts Valorization Technologies at the University of Life Sciences. Of course, starting to the point, sustainable development goals are well defined by the United Nations. Everyone is well aware what are the goals that need to be reached before 2030 year, and what are the goals that have not been achieved also remains a lot, especially of the COVID situation. When we talk about valorization technology, we are more or less we're dealing with the number 12 or the number 9 aspects over here. How best we can contribute to the economy and society, regional economy, and the regional society. About the UR chain VALORTECH, this special chair, as I said, received us funding about 2.5 million euros from the European Union. And to bring the technological know-how of 2 institutes in our university, this special chair was created. Of course, the end point, what we are expecting on a broader vision was to see that this chair will develop into a center of excellence and become a strong partner for supporting the local food industries in Estonia, Baltic countries, and beyond. As I said, I will not go in depth into the results what was generated, but I'll just try to highlight what are the activities that are undertaken in our ERH chair from last 6 years, almost 5 years, since it was initiated in 2018. I took over as a chairholder, as a professor in 2019, and after that, these are the works that had been carried out in our chair. And coming to the contribution, of course, many of you know, because many of you are coming from industrial background as well as from the food industry background here. I see some of my collaborators also around. There is a lot of scope and opportunity in Estonia to valorize food industry waste and byproducts. It may be pre-processing or post-processing waste. Why it's important for us is as per the report, there is only one report in Estonia which suggests that there is around 187,000 tons of waste being created in Estonia. Among that, 84,000 tons of waste is just coming from post-processing of food products into value-added products. So imagine if you're able to valorize this 84,000 tons of waste into value-added products, there's a huge amount of economical gain to the region. So keeping this in mind, we try to do some experimental work as well as contribute some of the things to the industries. We went around looking for fruit and vegetable processing industry waste, dairy waste, fish industry, poultry waste, and some of the things. In addition, we also looked into this many side streams which remain unexplored, something like seaweeds. We tried to touch up some points, and there are some underutilized fruits and vegetables of the region which we tried to look into and then valorize it. At the end of the day, it was more about waste to wealth concept that need to be developed and what are the technological innovations that we can apply to bring into the picture. These were some of the raw materials what we explored in our research activities. Of course, I'm not going to give the picture of the pomace waste because more or less it looks like a powder form. But these were the raw materials which we used, starting from apple pomace, sea buckthorn pomace, and then we used hemp seed hulk and all the berries, fruits, pumpkin peel waste, rhubarb peel waste. These are some of the raw materials which we used in our research activities. And we try to see how these raw materials can be valorized in a green and effective way to produce value-added components. Application part, as you know, like we also try to look into the applications in food industry, like developing new food products with enriched bioactivity or maybe with the enriched shelf life of the products. Then we also touch some points in cosmetic industry application, cosmeceutical industry application. What are the applications in pharmaceutical industry? We try to look some part of that. And then there was one question which came to mind is, okay, if there is no application coming for food and cosmetic or cosmeceuticals or pharmaceutical importance, what are we going to do with this generated data set? So the question was answered by wherein we try to see non-food applications in like as a bioplastic material, or maybe also looking into the production of livestock feed. So these are some of the activities that was undertaken in our ERH in VALORTECH from the last 5 years. I'll just briefly say about the activities done rather than I go into this, because most of our research articles have been published and it's available for free download and online access. First thing, what interesting result which came up to your mind was pigments. We try to extract a lot of natural pigments in the form of anthocyanins and in the form of carotenoids, pigments, by using green extraction technologies, which are quite popular nowadays, like supercritical carbon dioxide extraction, ultrasound-assisted extraction. We use sonication extraction and try to optimize it. Which extraction method will give the best yield? So the major outcome of this is there are several natural pigments which are available in the nature, in the plants, in the plant forms. Maybe it is fruits or vegetable waste or other stuffs. If we are able to extract these pigments by using green extraction technologies, which are environmental friendly, then these pigments can be used as a replacement for those chemical colorants or which are used in the food industries. For example, in ice creams, of course, most of the pigments or colorants used in the food industry are cleared by the European Union, but still we want to go natural. As an example, for example, you have ice cream coming from different colors, which uses artificial colorants or synthetic colorants. So if you're able to extract these color pigments from the waste materials, which is a cheap source of raw material, maybe like pumpkin peel waste or rhubarb peel waste, or maybe like from the pomace peel waste, this can go as a replacement for the colorants in the food industry. So this was quite interesting results what we generated, but we are still working on the product development and how it will affect the future marketing trends. Our published articles are there. Then what we looked into is one of the interesting results what we looked into was on winery waste. We try to see how cultivation and growth factors can affect the phytoconstituents in these grape varieties. That was one thing, because Estonia is not a country where they grow a lot of grapes. But nowadays the trend has picked up wherein in the highlands they are trying to grow grapes in the cold region. And not surprisingly, but interestingly, the results were quite good, wherein people are telling like the Estonian grown rice varieties or the wine prepared from the Estonian grown rice grape varieties are much tastier than the French wine. Sorry if any French people are there around, but it tastes much better than the French wine. So that means there is a lot of scope for exploring wines of Estonian origin, okay, or maybe grapes of Estonian origin, the wine prepared from there. We did a lot of chemometric assessment, especially on the vineyard pruning waste. If majority of like there is a lot of 3 times pruning happens in the fields, leaf pruning or the stem pruning, other pruning happens in the grape wild field. So what we observed from our experiment is there is a lot of polyphenols and flavonic components that are present in these leaves and stem waste rather than the grapes itself. That means you can get more number of polyphenolic compounds or health benefiting antioxidant rich compounds from this pruning waste and the other waste material generated in the agriculture fields. So if you are able to tap this resource and try to identify its potential applicability at the industrial scale, I think it's definitely going to have a lot of scope. Nothing is going to be a waste in this field. Grape will go to the wine production, grapes will go for oil production, the pruning waste will go for the production of polyphenol or antioxidant-rich components. So this was quite interesting results, what we got from our results. Then we also looked into some activities related to underutilized rowan berries, because this is quite popular, rowan berries, sometimes used as an ornamental plant, as well as it's planted also. We tried to look into 17 cultivars of this underutilized rowan berries and tried to do a metabolic profiling. We observed the polyphenolic components. We checked on the antioxidant activity. We checked on the antimicrobial activity. We checked on all the type of bioactivity with untargeted metabolomic activities over there. And we found a lot of good, interesting results. Some of these rowan berries, which are thrown away as a waste material, some are edible, some are non-edible. Even the non-edible sources, they have got potential uses. Again, supporting food security indirectly in the regional food security, as well as supporting the circular bioeconomy concepts of the EU. So nothing is going wasted naturally in the system of the bio thing. And we also found that there is a lot of bioactive components like beta-carotene and maybe like PUFAs present in this pomace waste of rowan berries, which had got a lot of potential applications. In addition, there was one more additional interesting work which was done on this rowan berries extract. We tried to get this bioactive rich rowan berries extract and incorporate into the pork meatballs. So this was work done by one of our doctoral students, and we found interesting results wherein extension of shelf life can be done in these pork meatballs after you add the rowan berry extracts. Most of the results are being published actually. And on another note, we also looked into production of bioplastics, because this is an ongoing trend throughout Europe now. We are getting a lot of good funding if you want to work on bioplastics. So 3 stages were undertaken. First stage is like we took the pomace waste directly and tried to do heat application and try to produce bioplastics. Of course, the work is still going. My doctoral student is somewhere around here. Okay, so this work is still going. Second part of the work was like we had a grant wherein we tried to look into the fish industry waste, local fish industry waste of Estonia. We tried to get bones and hides and skin, and we tried to extract a gelatin from that. And this gelatin, we tried to see the application part, and the application part was, one was going to pharmaceutical importance, wherein we try to see whether this gelatin can go as a wound healing process, making process. And then second part, what we studied is whether this gelatin, being a natural biopolymer, can we use this to produce biopackaging films, biopolymer enriched biopackaging films. So quite interesting results we got out of it. And then also we tried to incorporate the fiber-rich pomace waste from the apple and vegetable industry waste, incorporate into this gelatin-based films, packaging films, and try to see its activity. The end results were good, wherein we are able to produce biopolymer-rich bioplastics from these waste materials. In addition, we can also use this as a biocoating material to preserve the fruit and vegetables for longer shelf time. Why it's very important for Estonia is because some majority of the fruits and vegetables, we are dependent on importing of these commodities. But when you look into the longer term and ensuring the food security of the region, developing this type of technology where you can preserve your food for long term is also important. So this was one of the interesting work we did. And of course, we are also working on sustainable polysaccharide-based hydrogels, how these hydrogels can be produced, and how these natural polysaccharides obtained from these waste side streams can be used for developing packaging film as well as the other sources. Some work has been done on development of livestock feed. Okay, as I said in the beginning, in case if you don't see food application, if you don't see cosmetic application, what are we going to do with these raw materials and the data set? There is one more work, interesting results we generated is, in Estonia, we got a lot of this hemp seed hull and sea buckthorn pomace waste. We try to use this and characterize its nutritional component as well as composition, and try to see whether these can be developed into a sustainable, low-cost, nutritious livestock feed to feed the animals. We also got a lot of good research results, some of being published in quite good journals there. Results are there. But at the end of the day, after we did a lot of in vitro gas studies, we did a lot of in vitro digestibility studies, we did composition analysis and other stuff, it is possible that these food industry generated waste and byproducts, or the agri-food waste and byproducts, they can be used to produce livestock feed. Of course, on the other side, in some of your minds, you may be getting whatever the EU regulations. Of course, there is a EU regulation on using all these waste and byproducts into food or feed, but that's the next step we are going to cover in the coming days. Going one step ahead, we have been working on purification and characterization of extracellular vesicles. Many of you might be already knowing what is the extracellular vesicles. Our notion was, like, we have food industry waste and byproducts. These food industry waste and byproducts, if you're able to extract bioactive components from there, then these bioactive components can be incorporated into the extracellular vesicles. And these extracellular vesicles can be put back into mammalian cells, and this can go as a functional EVs or capable of affecting the cell functions. So this work is ongoing. We got some interesting results wherein after doing the scanning for a few raw materials, we found potato peel as the best raw material that can be used for this. And among the different potato materials we use, Estonian potato peel was the best thing that can be used for this type of work. Of course, apart from this, we have done a lot of work related to, Apart from this, we have done a lot of work related to preservation of meat. We did a lot of work related to isolation of dietary fiber and how this dietary fiber can affect human health and diet and other stuffs. But of course, due to constraint of time, I'm not presenting all the data we have, but majority of the things are available in our website. And contribution to academia from a chair, okay, we cannot stop at one stage where the research is ending. So we had to go one step further ahead to show our presence in the region, in the Baltic or in the Eastern and other stuffs. So we went on offering 2 new specialty courses for our master degree programs. One was on sustainable bioplastic and circular economy, and then one was on the valorization of agri-food byproducts. Quite popular courses now and taken up by the Erasmus students majority of the time. And this was a contribution for us, our chair for this academia in the region. Reaching out to public was also part of our chair activities. We did a lot of seminars, webinars. We conducted a lot of, especially majority of them were conducted during COVID-19 time. That's why we couldn't meet many of them face to face. But still, we were able to organize a lot of summer school, winter school for students coming from outside Estonia. Quite popular were there, things that were introduced. And collaboration to industry, this is one point. We didn't get high percentage of success of 100% what was expected, maybe because of the industries that are present here, or maybe because of the economical constraints. But still, we are open to pass on the knowledge gained in our lab to the industries. But there are some efforts done to collaborate with the industries and other partners over there. To transfer the lab-based generated knowledge to the public. So this was our industrial collaboration effort, and still it is going on now. Like companies from Latvia, Belgium, and Austria, they have shown initiative to look into the raw materials and the results what we generated in the ERHA, and to take one step ahead for the future things. Okay, when we talk about the future gap on food waste valorization or food byproducts valorization technologies, there are a lot of missing gaps still there that needs to be filled up. Okay, people might be thinking, what are the new innovations that may be coming up in the future? Okay, everyone wants to work on circular economy, everyone wants to work on circular bioeconomy, Green Deal, but sometimes it feels like the same wine is putting in different bottles, old wine put in different bottles. But how can you show that your presence is there, especially in the Baltic region? So that's one innovation we need to see and look into the gap. We need to address this gap, how best we can address this, what new innovations can be brought into the picture. Is it on the processing technology, green technologies, or is it on the marketing or the economic constraints, what we need to come over through? That's one of the things we need to look into. Well, definitely what all sectors are affected and benefited. When you take up this question, it's about the society, what we give back to the society, region, and ensuring the food security. Of course, there is a lot of market opportunity in Estonia because I've been meeting a lot of new startup companies. They sometimes contact me for some advice or some consultancy services. We do offer, sometimes I do it free of charge, but sometimes like if the company comes up, then I need to charge them. That's a later picture. One major thing many people, researchers forget when we are doing this type of work is life cycle analysis of the product. Whenever people are working on this food industry waste and byproducts management, and whenever they talk about this research on this type of work, they forget to address the concept of life cycle assessment analysis. Unless the life cycle analysis or LCA has not been undertaken, you cannot make it as a successful marketing opportunity. This need to be very well understood and need to be done, because carbon footprint is more important than the other stuff. We need to understand that. Of course, environmental stress is the other part. Knowledge-based transfer to lab-generated data and supporting new startups, these are also part of our activities. But one thing is, policymakers, of course, we cannot change the EU policies immediately by just generating some results and in the labs. We need to really see what are the policies that need to be amended at the EU level, and what we can recommend from our experience in Estonia to the higher level. This is what we can do, and this is what we did from our ERHA. We just set some recommendation. Okay, these are a set of recommendation of policymakers. Please see if it is useful for you, accept it. If it's not useful for you, thank you, I got my salary at the end of the month, so no word for me. Of course, the whole thing what we're talking about, valorization of agri-food and waste, this is my book, which is one of the popular book. We sold around 15 to 20,000 copies in a matter of 2 years. Anyone interested, especially industry people who are interested to look into this valuation technologies, have a look of this book, very interesting book, where you can see from pre-processing to post-processing up to the marketing, what are things that can be valorized, how best you can valorize, what is the marketing opportunities that can be got from here. Of course, I saw there is a next speaker who is going to talk about future foods. This is one book which is the second popular book of mine, which has become very popular, where we discuss a lot about what is going to be the future of food science, food technology, what is going to be happen, whether artificial intelligence will take over the whole future foods, or is it just we are going to stick on to the old trend of the traditional knowledge. So quite popular book, quite big, actually heavy to hold. That's our director and our university rector, and in the middle it's me. Some book which came up during this year at chair when I joined way back in 2019, a lot of books on sustainability and pathways and ecosystem integrations, valorization of biomass, quite interesting books. I cannot give free of cost, but in case if you want to have a look, I can pass on the things for you, right? Some references, of course, because why I gave references, because whenever we talk about valorization of food industry waste and byproducts, there is always EU regulations that need to be looked into, safety aspects, as well as the risk assessment. So these are some references that you can refer to later on in case if you're interested. Of course, my talk is not complete without thanking the organizers. Thank you so much for inviting me over here. And then, of course, to our VALORTECH team, my collaborators throughout Europe and beyond Europe, whoever is there. And of course, all the research staff we are working in out there. For more activities or publications, what is this website is there, you can just have a look of it. I'm on time. Thank you so much.
So questions, please.
Thank you so much for the amazing talk. You have focused a lot on the food process waste. I have a general question about, do you think soon enough, will we be able to tackle the challenge of valorizing domestic food waste, because it occupies a lot of the food wastage? It's basically the major contributor.
Well, it depends, actually, everything, because in academia, we think in a different way, because everyone is hunting for money and grants. So as a responsible scientist, definitely I would like to say, yes, I would like to look onto household waste. I would like to see the waste and valorizing waste from the restaurants and other stuffs. But as a whole, I think as an economist, actually, how much you put into the system and how much I can get it back. But to be on a positive side, of course, there is a lot of scope of valorizing household waste. As I said, in Estonia, we have got 167,000 tons of waste being generated in Estonia alone. Few million exchequer is there. So it depends. But there is a scope, but we need to see how this is going to be addressed. First, we need to address step by step. First, we address and help the industry personnel first to reduce the environmental stress, try to help the local industry to see that everything under circular economy is there and concept is applied there. Then we come to the household waste, then we come to the restaurant waste. So there is a lot of scope there, but not immediately. From my experience, I don't see it will be immediately coming in 2025 or 2030, or maybe later on.
Thank you very much.
But that's a good idea there. People have been talking about that.
Thank you so much for the talk and for the presentation. I also have A quick question. Maybe it is more of an economic side or like financial. So based on the food waste, we have a lot of like special molecules or some kind of like high value product that we can extract, but most of them might not be financially profitable if we extracted them. But they will be considered also as a like a source to other industries. Do you think we would like to extract all of these kind of molecules, even if they are not profitable, to use them in other industries, or would you prefer or would you recommend just extracting the high value added products and the other stuff can be used for biogas or something like this? For example, let me clarify.
See, I got what you're telling actually. See, it depends how you take the notion into the picture. Like for example, as an academician, if you want to create some data set and say, okay, these are biomolecules extracted from this bio waste, and if you don't see any practical application immediately, maybe somewhere in the world, someone is looking into this type of biomolecules and they find some application part over there. Like for example, carotenoids was not of much importance earlier, but nowadays people want to look into carotenoids. Okay, but there was like earlier days, it was just a coloring pigment. So it depends how you take into picture. But definitely, as academicians or researchers, we continue to do our work on extraction, isolation, identification of bioactive compounds, new biomolecules which can have bioactivity. That will go on one side. But on another side, when the applicable part comes, application part mainly comes from the industrial side. So it depends on the industries. For example, if an industry is looking into biopolymers or polysaccharides or dietary fiber, they may be interested into that source only. But definitely, whatever data, new data set we generate in our labs, that will find a applicability. The best example is Marie Curie, where she identified this polonium. When she did it, there was not much application, but afterwards, you know what happened everywhere. So we know it actually. Somewhere in the world, it will find applications actually.
Thank you.
Because I come from an academic background, I see everything positive side.
One more question.
One more, sir.
Maria Skola from Medfiles in Finland. Thank you for your talk. Just a little addition, you mentioned that you would probably like to use the colors and other bioactive substances for the as a food additives. I was also thinking that what about the feed additives, because the feed additive sector is also looking for colors for feeds and colors for let's say food producing animals, let's say salmon, or let's say coloring the egg yolks. So I was thinking that's a little addition, not only for the food sector, but also the feed sector. Thank you.
Like as I mentioned earlier in my slide presentation, we also have worked on livestock feed production and producing pellets, low-cost, nutritious livestock feed, because majority of the European countries now are dependent on the Asian counterparts to import the livestock feed. So if you can be self-sustainable to ensure food security, we have to work on livestock feed also, not only on food. But coming to your second point, that depends how much funding we have to carry out and how much funding we have to do to pursue this type of work, actually incorporating this into the additives. But if you're interested to collaborate, just let me know, then we can think about the scope and we can see a way for it. I'm open for it. Right.
So, no more questions?
Yeah, my email address is there. You can drop an email to me whenever you want to discuss something. I know in conference time, many people don't want to ask questions. But if you have anything to ask, you can just drop an email to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your nice talk.
Thanks.